have information that the suspect prior to the incident was involved in a domestic disturbance, which was just minutes prior, and the suspect left that scene just prior to our arrival to that domestic disturbance. We actually had a squad and barricades up, and he drove right through.
Fleeing, you didn't, you weren't involved with a knife incident that morning or something?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. And the police chief said today he's charging him with 5 counts of intentional homicide. And we've been investigating a social media footprint, Harold. Man, I can't confirm it yet, but this guy is bad news. Bad news.
From his social media?
Bad
I could go by his actions.
How about we confirm it?
Bad news. I'm talking about motivation.
Right.
I'm talking about motivation.
Look, there's not much to add to this. This guy, Judge, I love the way you, or I should say, I appreciate the way you analyze this. Is the bail reform. We should have bail reform, but this issue here was this prosecutor here not doing his or her job. If we need more resources to ensure that.
No, you don't need resources.
No, just to make sure.
Add that police were not chasing him at the time.
And apparently it's being alleged the police did fire at him at some point. They did shoot at him, but then stopped shooting because there were so many people. And
good call, probably,
yes,
yeah.
Very good call. He's been. So now there's a question of because he had a previous outstanding warrant in, I believe, Nevada.
Nevada, he jumped bail, yeah.
Right, and he jumped bail, and then his bail was set at his subsequent bail.
Well, worse, right.
Right, was set at like $1,000 or something.
Well, right, so he was arrested for allegedly driving over his girlfriend in a domestic violence dispute.
Yeah.
Well, that's not really a dispute, that's just an attack.
Right.
Right. And so he was initially given a $10,000 bond, which he did not post. He then applied for a speedy trial, which is part of constitutional right, and the prosecutor was not ready to offer a trial, and so they dropped the bail down to $1,000, which he was then able to post and get out. And then 2 days later, he mows through the crowd and kills 5 people. The prosecutor's office, and this is not a reformist, this is not a criminal justice reformer type prosecutor, this is an old school prosecutor. Prosecutor's office has said they made a mistake, that not in hindsight. Like, obviously, in hindsight, they made a mistake. Nobody disagrees with that. There are 5 dead people and 40 suffering from injuries from this truck plowing through the crowd. What they're saying is that that this was against their guidelines, and they're trying to figure out how it was that they went from 10,000 to 1,000 just because of this speedy trial request. Well, people request speedy trials all the time and get shot down.
Well, and it's got to be that someone who posted bail and then fled a different state and didn't show up for trial, that person's bail should not be set the next time.
Right.
Should not be set like at all, and honestly. Frankly, if you get out, you don't show up for your trial, you should not get bail the next time, probably at all.
Right. The good indication of whether you're going to jump bail is whether you've jumped bail.
Right.
You're currently out on a bail that you've jumped. I think one thing this shows is the way that the states don't communicate with each other.
Right.
And so it's quite likely that Waukesha County didn't know about this Nevada case. Now you can,
but that's a huge failing, right? Because that should be easy enough information to be obtained by people who are looking at someone.
And I think more importantly, if you ever see somebody getting released more quickly than you expected, or getting charges dropped faster than you might have expected, and you go ahead and guess that it was a domestic violence charge, you're almost always going to be right. Like, we continue to be very tough on crime in this country, despite all of the kind of rhetoric around police reform and criminal justice reform. But when it comes to domestic violence, we are not tough on that crime. That's even if you drive somebody over, even if you drive your girlfriend over with your truck, it's still like, this is a personal dispute between. And so the misogyny that is shot through the court system and the justice system leads to so many domestic abusers getting just massively, disparately lower bail and sentences and charges than for any other crime of equal violence. And so when I saw this and saw that he had just recently been released from domestic violence charges, like, that checks
Well,
out.
and I was frankly surprised to hear anyone in the office say that, oh, yeah, this was a mistake. It's weird,
Right.
weird to hear. It must be a big mistake if they actually admitted it was a mistake without dissembling for...
Right, maybe they can't defend that the position that they took, and I don't think it actually is, like, since they're not a bail reform, criminal justice reform type prosecutor, they weren't trying to defend that type of thing.
Right.
So yeah, they're like, oh, but this is like Willie Horton times 1,000.
Yeah. We've discussed the Rittenhouse trial at length on this show and disputed